Hello everyone, it is April and today I'm here to chat with you about all of the books that I've read in January thus far. It's been a good start to the reading year, so let's dive right in. We're gonna do the way I usually do, which is go from the tippy top and then work our way down. We end on a low and I don't know if that's wise, but here we are. The first book I want to chat with you about is a book that I gave 5 stars. This is a nonfiction book called The Skin We're In by Desmond Cole. This is about the racism that exists right here in Canada against Black people, against Indigenous people, and Desmond Cole spent I think it was 2017, really, he honed in on that year, which was Canada's 150th birthday. And he essentially exposed all of the violence that Black people and Indigenous people experienced. He focuses in on Black people, but he does expand. He goes into the history of racism in Canada. And it was fascinating because I think it's very easy for Canadians, especially white Canadians, to just be like, no, racism exists elsewhere. We're great. We're so nice. We're so polite. We're so wonderful. And I think a lot of countries do that about themselves. When in fact, we have a lot of crap going on right here in Canada. That is one of the goals that I forgot to mention in my goals video, which is I want to learn more about racism here in Canada. I specifically want to learn more about Indigenous issues going on here in Canada. So this is the start of a long journey of learning. It was heartbreaking at times. This book actually talked about a police brutality that a Black man in Ottawa experienced. He was going through like a mental health crisis, and people called the cops because he was acting erratically and they were worried, and so they called the police and he was killed by the police. And that happened in my old neighborhood. About a year, maybe 2 years after I moved away from that neighborhood. And I loved that neighborhood. And I didn't hear a ton about this case. And it made me so enraged and so sad. And I felt so humiliated that I didn't know more. And it was a very powerful book for me. Such an important read. If you are Canadian, please go and read Desmond Cole. I've started following him on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter, but he's very active on Twitter, and he is an active voice in anti-racism and the anti-racism movement here in Canada. So please go and read this book and follow him everywhere. He is wonderful. Also a year younger than me, and also went to Queen's at the same time as me. What? And talked about the racist experiences and the inappropriate experiences that he experienced at Queen's. This hit home for me in a major way. It was very good, but really hard to read sometimes. Moving right along to another 5-star read. I had 2 5-star reads this month. How fantastic. Now, I read this with my Patreon crew, which was wonderful. This was The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. The hype is real, guys. The hype is real. This is about sisters. They are twin sisters who live in a small town called Mallard. Now, everyone in Mallard are essentially light-skinned Black people, and that is who they accept in this town. And unfortunately, it's a tough town to live in. And 2 of the girls, these twins, decide to leave. They plan it all out together, and they leave Mallard, they leave their mother behind, and they move away. When they move away, they live together for a brief amount of time, and then one of the twins decides to go out on her own, and she decides to pass for white. The other twin does not make that decision. She marries a black man and has a dark-skinned black child. And she eventually returns to Mallard. And it is about these two sisters. It's about the families they come from, their children. I thought this was gorgeously written. I mean, my goodness, I feel like this could be a modern classic. It was so wonderful. Like, the writing itself was gorgeous, and the characters themselves were amazing. Like, you meet all of these people who, in one way or another, are feeling like they won't be loved if they are known. And it is about watching some of them decide to show themselves. Most of them decide to show themselves and hope they will be loved. And but it's about taking that risk, and they're real risks. You know, in the past, some of them deal with major racism, and they're terrified that being Black will not allow them to be loved by people in their lives that they want to be loved by. And that's just one example. There's so many different examples, and it's such a lesson in the importance of being accepting and loving and not judging people. I adored this book. I'm so glad that I read it. I'm so glad that it's on my shelves now for keeps. This was on so many people's favorites of 2020. I do not blame them. I'm so thrilled. Wonderful, wonderful book. Okay, next we're moving into the 4 stars. I really didn't have any books that were terrible this month, so that's good. So far, things could get worse. You never know. But I really had a hankering to read a thriller set in winter. And I was at the pharmacy, and there it was, and I was there. And so I picked up One by One by Ruth Ware. I haven't even hauled this yet, and I've already read it. And I finished it last night when I'm filming this. I finished it last night. I stayed up past my bedtime. I wanted to get to the end of it, and it was a lot of fun. Easy read. This is about a technology company called Snoop, and they have this app which essentially allows you to listen to the same things that big stars are listening to. So you could listen to what Beyonce is listening to at this very moment in time. And it connects you with the person. And we follow this company, and the company is having some internal struggles, and they decide to go to this cabin, but it's a swanky cabin. It's like a chalet kind of thing, and go skiing and like get together and have meetings, but also, you know, try to connect. And unfortunately, people start dying one by one. It's very much inspired by Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, like 100%. It does shift though, and it is its own. So I will say that. And we follow in particular 2 people. We follow Liz, who used to work for Snoop, has left, but is going there for a very good reason. She has a vested interest in the success of this company. And then we also follow, how have I already forgotten her name? Erin. Erin works at this chalet. She works with her friend Danny, and they basically, you know, are hosts. They give them their food. They do all of those things. And we follow these 2 people trying to make it out alive of a lovely vacation that turns quite gruesome. It was a lot of fun. Honestly, it was so much fun. I had a great time reading that. I didn't listen to it. Anywho, moving right along to another book that I haven't even hauled yet and I've already read. This is An Edited Life by Anna Newton. This is nonfiction. It says simple steps to streamlining your life at home and at work. I follow Anna on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel called the Anna Edit, and I really love her. Like, I have been following her for years. I just adore her. She's very sweet and very much a Virgo. Like, she has earned the right to have this book out for sure. She is such an organized person in every way in her life. She has like a capsule wardrobe, and she goes into detail about how to create a capsule wardrobe. Now, I will say, like, I did find some things more helpful than others in this book. Like, I don't know if I'm a big capsule wardrobe person, but what's great about it is that you can literally just pop in and out and decide what is going to work for you. I was really interested in how she organizes her days and how she organizes her working life in particular, because I feel like I could benefit from a little zhuzh with that, and I got some very good tips from this. I do recommend it. I very much enjoyed it, and I'll be like popping in and out of this in the future. Wow, I can't speak today. In the future, that's for sure. And then last but not least is a book that I don't have here. It's the second in a series. It's the Anne of Avonlea. I read in January. I had read Anne of Green Gables in December. Can't believe I hadn't read it before. I listened to both of them on audio. I had given Anne of Green Gables 5 stars. I just fell in love. Like, I, as a Canadian, I'm like very familiar with Anne of Green Gables, 100%. I've watched the series from the 80s like a million times, it feels like. So I was very familiar, and yet it was just wonderful to spend some time with Anne. I really enjoyed that book. Ooh, Nora's having a little cry downstairs with Barry. Sorry if you can hear a little toddler having a little meltdown. She's okay. She's just sad. Or tired, one of the two. So I loved Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Avonlea was just okay for me. It follows Anne becoming a teacher, and that was fine, but I found the children in her class and the children in her life acted a lot like her. And what's so great about Anne is she's unique and different and feisty and all of these things, and then all of a sudden she seems to be surrounded by children who are almost identical to her. I have read a book many years ago now about Lucy Maud Montgomery. It was a biography, and it kind of has ruined the rest of the series in some ways from me. She didn't actually want to write these books. She wanted to write Anne of Green Gables. It became very successful, and then since then, like, she became the primary breadwinner in the family. She was having a really hard time in her marriage. Like, there were so many things that I learned in that book that was rough and made me feel, I could feel that Lucy Maud Montgomery wasn't overly invested in the Anne storyline. Will I continue the series? Maybe, I don't know. I like listening to them on audio. It's very easy to read. So I could see myself doing that, but I didn't really adore the second one. It was fine, but just fine. It, well, like, barely was a 3-star, could have been 2, you know? Oh, anywho, it was okay. I've so far had a pretty good reading month. Please let me know in the comments below what your favorite book has been thus far in January. I'd love to know how your reading month is going. I hope it's going well, and I will chat with you soon. Bye, guys.